class.
Jordan, this is my second visit. We'll send me an application. And look forward to being people with it.
I'm Whitney Bailey. I was with my husband, Charles Bailey. We do lunch and network. This is great multitasking. I'm a business bank going for Citizens Bank. I'm excited to be our Citizens Bank, for Citizens Bank. We have another here too, huh? Okay, so nice to meet you. Who else? Who else? No one new at this table. There's some people.
Hi, Jen Shriver, shaken by me today. My older son is now a grown up civil engineer, was a graduate of Raleigh, sponsored by me for this cover with the other daughter 6 years ago. And we boasted about a brother to his younger brother, who's now 5 this year. So I was invited to drop off this application. I thought I was a good lunch to go lovely today, and we followed. Nice to meet you.
And everyone here from the comments in Raleigh, and now your second son is applying. Isn't that exciting? Okay, and Kent, Raleigh's opportunities on your table. Kent.
Former Chicago officer for Exos IP, now he's a consultant in the IP legal space. Yes, the Beach County. For those of you who know Pete as well as I do, you know that I'm considerably poor playing golf for money.
Thank you, Kent. Thanks for coming. That's, am I out of guests? Do we have any guests? Any more guests? Okay, no, great. So glad that y'all are here. Did you want me to give a public image update real quick?
Yes.
We need help in the public image area. We need your help. Don't think about Uncle Sam, but that's what I'm saying. We need you. If you could this week, you might know, you're gonna hear this later, that it's Giving Tuesday tomorrow. And so there's gonna be a bunch of posts, and you've probably seen some of them on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. John Cates is gonna mention it in a second when he comes up. But in the meantime, when you're on social media, you just go ahead and like those posts and just share them as much as you can, and maybe put a comment on there like, what a great club. I love my club. Or, isn't Kevin Summers great? You know, just all of that helps the algorithm. Okay, so thank you for that. And if you would love to be a part of our bulletin party, people that write the bulletin, you know, you can come talk to me about that, because the bulletin is a great way to get involved in the club. Thanks, President Eric.
Thank you, Leslie. Leslie's doing a great job with our public image. And as I've said before, there are 4 requirements to work on her team. You need to be able to read, you need to be able to write, you need to have a computer, you have to have an internet connection. I think everybody in here, therefore, is eligible to work on her team. So fundraising. John has been a busy man and is going to be busier. So John, why don't you bring us an update on fundraising? Where did John go?
Jean-Luc with membership.
Oh, Jean-Luc with membership. I'm sorry. Jean-Luc first. I'm skipping ahead.
Thank you, President Eric. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see everyone in here today. We don't have too much to cover. We're not going to do our first reading for Mark today. We're going to wait till he's in here next week. And then if you guys want to pull out your phones, we do have our service social next week on the 11th from 4 to 5:30 at the Cardinal North Hills. So again, December 11th, 4 to 5:30, we will be conducting snacks again for those of us who are teachers. Another opportunity for us to get all together, network with each other, get to know each other a little bit more. And otherwise, again, if you guys are interested in hosting a service social at your place of business, or know a nice local place that has a space and opportunity for us to all get together, please reach out to me. Love to have new ideas, new areas where we can all gather and get to know each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John Lee. Hey, John Luke is doing a great job with our membership as well. And now, John Cates, who has been a very busy fellow and has more to share.
Yeah, lots of exciting things going on here. First of all, fantasy football. Does anybody recognize the commish? The commish, he started out kind of in the back of the pack. Big Tom has worked his way up to the top of the heap. The 5 teams you see there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are probably 4 of them are gonna make the playoffs. We'll know more tomorrow. But in the meantime, good job, Tom.
Did you give them all the eggs?
Exciting news. Thanks to everybody that supported the fall, Taste the Fall fundraiser. It exceeded my expectation. I don't know if you had an expectation, but we raised $6,185. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Barry. And most of all, everything was donated. So everything we raised goes directly to our club and our club's work in the community. So great job.
Oh, there's some photos.
We have pictures. If you weren't there, you missed a great time. Bottom left corner is my beautiful wife, Jennifer, and her daughter, Sarah, who's raising a daughter. Okay. Exciting news. We have sponsors for the gala already. The first person to step forward was Tom with First Bank. Thank you, Tom Holder. Then I'm stepping forward. I'm a silver sponsor with my real estate business. And my wife and I are stepping forward. We're going to be a Peace Fellow table sponsor for the Peace Fellows that go to UNC and Duke. Thank you. First individual sponsor, Surrey Roberts. Signed up. He's usually the first. And then he started. And then we have someone today sign up. Mary Moss stepped forward and said that her firm will be a bronze sponsor. So thank you, Mary. So we're out of the gate and we've got, let's see, $9,500. So it's a great time to sign up. You don't have to pay now. If you want to pay in 2025, you can pay in 2025. If you want to pay in 2024, you can pay in 2024. You can get the list of signups. We also have it on the website. Yeah, sign up. If you want to be a sponsor, Mike Brennan, would you come forward, please? Would you talk a little bit about your sponsorship efforts and what you've got going on?
Sure. So, basically where we're at right now is we've obviously have these people who, generously given some, pledge what they're gonna be giving. I think at this point in time, we're trying to do an outreach to first off the club. Anybody that wants to sponsor, please let us know what you're willing to sponsor. But more importantly, also help us know we need to be contacting and how we should be contacting them. Obviously we have some companies up here, or companies in the community that you have connections to, or know someone has a connection to. That's kind of where we need help on who to contact, how to contact them. And it's a
Perfect. Mike's got a list of companies in Raleigh, as well as other people. If you know somebody you think would like to be a sponsor or should be a sponsor of the club, get in touch with Mike and help him make connections, okay? This is all about Mike making connections to get our gala to be successful. Thank you. Lastly, I want to thank Randy for this. So Randy came up to me at the Fall Festival and said, there's a lot of ways to raise money besides just having events and doing all the work. He said, what about Giving Tuesday? I said, I haven't really thought about Giving Tuesday. What do you think? He said, well, a lot of people give money on Giving Tuesday. You could just ask. So it went in one ear and it rolled around. The next morning I woke up like, we could do that. Leslie can help with that. Linda can help with that. And we all can help with that. So we started a Giving Tuesday campaign that's been running on social media. Tomorrow, Linda doesn't know this, she's going to send an email out to all the numbers reminding you that it's Giving Tuesday, including the link on how you can give. And there are a lot of reasons to give to Rotary. Real quickly, I did a list of 110 reasons to give to Rotary, since it's our 110th anniversary year. And I asked a few people here to look at the list. There's a list on some of the tables, and I'll have Linda send the list along with the email tomorrow. So my favorite on the list was peace building. I love the fact that Rotary's big in building peace, a lot of different ways. Because health is peace. Water, clean water is peace. But for me, the Peace Center in Chapel Hill, in Union City, and in Durham and Duke is really powerful. It's something that we can claim as our own and be very proud of. I asked some of these people to look at the list of 110 and just share what they were proud of and for supporting Rotary.
Well, it was easy because the first project that I did with Rotary was the food bank. And if you look at number 51 on the list, it's for raising awareness about food insecurities around in this area and around North Carolina. And then I couldn't leave 53 off because mental health is another awareness raiser that I think is so critically important. And actually, there are about 2 more, but that's all I'll do for now.
Thank you, Mary. Mike, did you say something?
I did, I was kind of looking at the, global outreach that Rotary has, and so number 46 was one that says supporting global projects with, volunteers from Raleigh area, local volunteers.
Thank you, Mike. And Chase?
Like everybody else, there's a lot of different reasons that I love Rotary. I picked number 21, so we do a lot of support in our community to help with free healthcare and health screenings. We have a clinic we work with regularly, so maybe it's because I just had a baby 8 months ago, so we're still dealing with all those healthcare bills, if you know what I'm talking about. But that one's kind of close to my heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So tomorrow's Giving Tuesday, and I have the 110 Reason Challenge for the club. And that is, I'm gonna donate $110 on Giving Tuesday to the club. Not everybody can afford to give $110, I get that. But let me tell you what I did working with another organization and asking through social media and emails. I raised $1,000 just by sending out requests to friends and family through email and social media. I'm asking our 110 members of our club to make an effort tomorrow on Giving Tuesday to raise some money for our club. If you can give 110, that's awesome. If you can send it out to 10 friends and get them to give some money, that's great. Anything we can raise tomorrow will go a long way to supporting the mission of our club. Look for the email tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fantastic update. So many ways for us to participate and have participated in things. One thought came to my mind as we were going through the 110. 2 of my 110 reasons to be thankful for Rotary are Randy Fraser and Mary Moss. Both those people know how important they are to me, and there are 108 other ones out here in the audience as well. But think of the people you've met through Rotary. That's another reason to be thankful to Rotary. One quick thing, Shaquem, I'm going to just make a quick announcement and we'll keep moving along. We have the Raleigh Youth Exchange forums here on the, Raleigh Youth Academy forums on your table. And Shaquem, did you want to say a word or two? Okay, great.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shaquem McLean. Everyone already know that. The only 2 things that's on my agenda is that I'm happy that I have applications already coming in. Thank you, Jen, for one of my applicants. I do have another one which you should release. So again, please, if you have or know any 11th graders that are interested in leadership, please send them our way. Give them an application. They're on the tables. By all means, they do not have to be part of any Interact clubs either. So any given aspiring 11th grader will be perfect. Fortunately, today is the deadline. So, again, if you know someone, hurry up, give them the application today. I'm accepting them up until 6 o'clock. I had extended it, so today is that day. Unfortunately. And lastly, good news, we have a second family for Letitia, so I'm excited about that. There's a lot of us, thank you, John. And I can't think the other ones that I, but yes, it was sweat, blood, and a lot of praying. To find her a second host family, and she will be transitioning into on the 15th. So John, he lives in a dog. On that note, that's it for the generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. She runs all our programs relative to incoming generations of Rotarians and young people in the community. So with that, we do have a Vocational Leadership Service Award. That is an award this club gives to a member of this community who's not a Rotarian, but through their work, through their job, through their efforts, have added to the community. We are now accepting nominations for the Vocational Service Award. Named after our late member Wilson Heyman, who was very engaged in that process. And so be thinking about people in the community that have made a difference that you're aware of, that come across your radar, or you work with them, or you just know about them. And give those names to Linda, and we'll go through the process with you. So please don't miss out on it. It's a great honor that we provide. Salvation Army bell ringing is coming up, so it's an opportunity for service. And Kevin, did you have a thing to say? You are excellent.
Go Lions. You guys know why I'm here, and I'm sporting the outfit. Everybody, a nice Rotary apron for their new members. I want to go through some logistics since we're in the middle of the project. It runs through December 24th. We're out there Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. Please make sure, especially the new members, because I think that when you look at the sign up genius, it's not intuitively obvious, but there's half-hour shifts. If your intent is to be out there for 2 hours, sign up for 10 to 11 and 11 to 12. Don't sign up for 2 consecutive shifts. I've had to fix that for 3 people already. Because if you sign up for the second shift right after the 10 to 11, that's the 10:30 to 11:30. Our intent is to overlap shifts, so you have somebody out there ringing with you. If you sign up for all the shifts, then you're gonna be out there by yourself. So, I'm expecting that every Rotarian will ring, there's some current pictures. Every Rotarian, I'm asking that you, ring for 6 shifts, that's 6 1-hour shifts. If you can do more, great. My real goal is to get everybody out there to do at least 1. Okay, so I know that some of you, it's gonna be a challenge, but I wanna get everybody out. Here's another note for new members. If you're out there, if you've arrived and there's no bell and there's nobody out there, go to customer service. Or if you're in a situation where you have to leave and you're the only one standing there, you take all the materials and put them back in customer service. That way, the next person, when you arrive and nobody's there, you'll know where everything is. But we don't want to just leave the kettle, obviously, with money out there, sitting out in front with nobody attending. I also this morning put a phone directory inside the bag. So if you're out there and you need to call somebody, Rotary, Salvation Army, me, anybody, there's a bag inside the bag. There's a phone directory for Rotary. If you normally donate to the Salvation Army, I ask that you consider putting that check in our bucket. That way we get credit for that donation. So please encourage you to do that as well. And finally, what I need help with this week, real quick. If you can come out Tuesday, 12:30 to 3, Wednesday, 6 to 7:30 in the evening, Thursday, 2 to 3:30, and then 6 to 7:30, Friday, looking for help after 5:30, and then Saturday, it's wide open afternoon. So I really need you guys to step forward. I'm going to be contacting you separately. Linda will be sending out several emails, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Eric.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Kevin does a great job in that it can be a very large logistical project. As an engineer, I appreciate stepping up. So Eric Stevens is here to talk about our bulb planting project. If you can think back to 2 Thursdays ago, I can tell you one thing that's very true. It was cold that day. Eric?
It was, thank you, President Herring. Yeah, so, I saw that, on that list of 110 things, number 26 was host local tree planting initiative. So this is a slight variation on that. There were about 20 Rotarians that were on November 21st in the morning, out all bundled up in their warm weather clothes, planting daffodils at Moore Square Park. And we were well represented here with the Rotary Club of Raleigh. John Cates and his wife Jennifer were there. Shakima was there. Bill McLaurin was there. Bill and I were planting a lot of bulbs together. And Eric Larson was there. And we had Rotarians from all the other clubs in the Raleigh area show up, including District Governor Jeff Glass. I believe they said it was about 1,200 bulbs that were planted in a pretty concentrated area. I'm really going to be interested to see what it looks like in Moore Square when they go up, because I don't think we were terribly organized about how we did it. So, it'll be kind of an adventure to see what shows up, but it's going to look great. And again, this is all part of a larger project where, in March of next year, there's going to be musical equipment put there, musical playground equipment put in Moore Square that children can play on and make noises with. And it'll have a Rotary sign there. It's a wonderful collaboration amongst all our folks. So thanks again to everybody who came and helped plant bulbs, and we're looking forward to more from this.
All right, thank you very much. Great. So with that, we had our announcement on public image. So we have just a few very, what I call sacred or somber or important events, I guess you'd call it, in Rotary. One of them is when a Paul Harris Fellow is named, and Patty Rooney is going to make that presentation now. Patty.
Thank you, President Eric. From the words you heard him say, the invocation and the reflection to the work that you heard him describe, what he does as a fundraising chair. John Cates is a person who has exemplified what it means to be a person who puts service above self. And so I'm very honored today to be able to present him the Paul Harris Fellow. Paul Harris Fellow is the first recognition of the level of giving. We're very, very grateful to John for his support of the Rotary Foundation, the work that we do. You've heard me say it again, and I will continue to say it. Rotary makes a difference in somebody's life each and every minute, each and every day, somewhere in the world. We may not know what that is. The work that we do really impacts people around the globe. So thank you, John. Would you come forward, please, and be recognized and receive Paul Harris Fellow in.
Oh, I guess. Wait, open it up. Open it. Open it.
And it's our tradition to rise when a new Paul Harris Fellow is in it.
This is one more step, the goal that we have, which is to make this club a 100% Paul Harris Fellow club within the space of the next 3 years. Show we're going to do this, so the next step we can make is find others who are interested in becoming Paul Harris Fellows. Thank you so much for all your giving and support.
Thank you, Foundation Chair Patty Rooney. We're going to skip the red bucket, the happy dollars today, rather, in light of making sure we have enough time for our program. But there are red buckets on the table there for gifts for Dimension Alliance, and Kevin, you'll have to hold that happy dollar for the week. Sorry about that. And I suspect other folks have one. And being an NC State guy, you're probably better certificate this week. So anyways, birthdays and, oh, actually I have a raffle and Tommy. Yeah. Double raffle.
Yeah, if we don't have that many dollars, it's a Gil Cox, but all right. Anyway, we've had a lot of complaints out around, and everybody keeps saying to me, well, why are we just always giving away cash? Why can't we give away more honey here at the meetings? So this week at the meeting, we are responding, we've heard your cry, and we are giving away some honey today. So we're gonna draw 2 tickets, one for the money, one for the honey. If you are the first person to win, you can pick which one that you want. It was kind of a slow raffle day. The honey is actually a beautiful, really exotic jar of honey. So the money and the honey are pretty close in value today. So here we go. Let's see who we get. If you win first, you can pick. How about 825 113? 825 113. There we go, Jim. You don't have to be a member to win. You can still pick if you want money or not. You take money, good man. There we go. So if you weren't called, you are still in the hunt. Let's see what we got. I see Peter over there anxiously waiting. Good job, Peter. I got 325 111.
Probably him again.
Surrey, you won.
Surrey, oh. You just kind of sit at the right table, that's what it is. Congratulations. All right, Tommy, and as Tina Selden says, congratulations to the winners.
Yes.
Here we go. All right, we have our birthdays and anniversaries coming up. Randy has a birthday tomorrow, and then anniversaries, Matt and Quinn. Carrie and Paul are having their anniversary on Wednesday. Tommy and Kim, Charles and Whitney, and Narda and Drew. So happy anniversary to many of you, and happy birthday to Brandy. So with that, we are going to look at our upcoming meetings, and my monitor's not here in front of me, so sorry for stumbling on it. We do have a board meeting coming up on next Monday, and then we have a holiday Christmas luncheon at Carolina Country Club on the 17th. That's a Tuesday. Make sure you fill out the RSVP for that you received, and remember to bring Toys for Tots to that as well. We won't have any meetings on Christmas week, and so take note of that. And then we have some great meetings coming up. The first of the year, former member Bruce Hand, who is now the CEO of the Triangle Area YMCA, will be speaking. And then we'll be doing a road trip over to NC State, where Randy Woodson will be hosting us for a really special meeting. As many of you know, he'll be retiring, so this will be his last meeting hosting us an annual event. So please plan for that, and you'll get an invite for that when the time comes. So finally, we're ready to have a program I've been looking for since I got named president. Scott Mason is a face, it's kind of like, how do you introduce somebody who's been in your living room and in your kitchen, in your family room many times over? But Scott Mason is a terrific speaker and writer and broadcaster. I've heard him speak before, so you're in for a real treat. Scott's been in the news business for 40 years, most of it in the feature side. He's also worked at WUNC doing feature films and work, and he's a writer. He's received multiple Edward R. Murrow Awards. He's received Emmy Awards. He was actually named the North Carolina Reporter of the Year, Television Reporter of the Year at one point. He's worked around in Virginia and in other places, but has made North Carolina his home. And all of you know him as the Tarheel Traveler. He is somebody I admire tremendously. I admire good writing, good production, and seeking out the story. News people always say, what's the story that matters? And in Scott's case, he tells the richness of the story, the full story. And human beings are based on stories. That's how we pass on information and legacy and things like that. And from the earliest people around fires, telling stories, to warriors coming back from war, telling stories. So story is really important. And I put Scott in that pantheon of storytellers like Charles Perrault and Charles Osgood and Ira Glass and people like that. So with that, for a very special program, Scotty, please come on up.
Thank you so much, and Eric, thank you for those remarks about storytelling, because storytelling is really my life. It's been my whole life. The other thing, you took away the picture, but oh, I envy that picture. What happened to the dark hair? It turned gray all of a sudden. Anyway, I thought I would show you some of my favorite Tarheel traveler stories that I've done over the years, kind of the greatest hits. But before I do, I'll just tell you a little bit more about myself. I was actually born in Raleigh. My parents sort of started their lives in Raleigh, and they loved it. I mean, the friends they met in Raleigh became lifelong friends that they kept up with over the years. But then when I was a little boy, my dad's insurance company kicked him up north, up to Massachusetts. So I actually grew up on the coast of Massachusetts, toward Cape Cod, and then I spent all my summers actually north of Boston on Cape Cod. Grew up racing sailboats and really had an interesting childhood, because there I was growing up outside of Boston. All my friends had Boston accents, but my parents were Virginians. My mom grew up in Richmond, had a huge Southern accent, and there I was growing up outside of Boston, eating grits and barbecue and collards and black-eyed peas and stewed tomatoes, and it was an interesting childhood. And even as a little boy, I loved to write. I don't know where I got that from. My parents aren't writers, but I would throw tennis balls against the garage door and shoot hockey pucks, and I always pretended I was the play-by-play man. And Eric mentioned Charles Kuralt. I have a distinct memory of watching the TV in my parents' bedroom. The news came on and a Charles Kuralt story came on. I was probably 8 years old, and I pointed to the TV and I said, after the Kuralt story, I said, I want to do what he does. And my parents looked at me, oh, right. Well, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. It came true. Anyway, that Southern influence, I guess, rubbed off on me, because when I was looking at colleges, I wanted to go south, and I ended up at Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, the beautiful Shenandoah Valley. That was the college for me. I loved it. Charlie over there is from Lexington. How about that? Lexington, Virginia is the cutest little town. Well, because I love to write, I majored in journalism, and Washington and Lee had the very first formal journalism school of any school in the whole country. Not only college, high school, it was the very first one. So I worked for the college radio station. We even had a TV station. I wrote for the school newspaper. Loved it. Graduated and went right into television news as a general assignment reporter, covering murders and fires and car wrecks, the news of the day. Started in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and kind of moved around. But my first starting salary was $9,000 a year. I can't believe it, but I loved it. It was an adventure. I'd never even been to Chattanooga, Tennessee before, or Tennessee. But it was just, I loved it. I met all these people. I was like a sponge, soaking it all up. Was there for a while, moved to Winston-Salem in the mid-80s, worked for the NBC affiliate, then Ohio, a big CBS affiliate, became a bureau chief. Then I got a great opportunity to work in Richmond, Virginia, which is where my wife was from. I met her in Ohio on a blind date, and she was from Richmond. So we moved to Richmond. I thought I was going to stay there for good because my parents lived there. My mother was from there. And then I got a call out of the blue in 1997 from WRAL in Raleigh. And I had gotten into long form television, and they had seen a documentary I had done, and they wanted to hire me to do documentaries. So I came to Raleigh in 1997, kind of felt like it was fate calling me back to the city where I was born. So I did documentaries for the first 3 years at WRAL until they hired a new general manager, canceled the documentary unit. I got tossed back into news, covering murders and fires and car wrecks all over again. But, I had always gravitated toward the fun feature stories, the Kuralt type stories. And in 2007, the TV station decided to launch the Tarheel Traveler and picked me to do it. So since then, a photographer and I have just roamed the whole state, all 100 counties, doing stories on people and places and history and landmarks. And
It is the best job in television. The reason it's so great, because we're totally unsupervised. I don't know where we are from one day to the next. Well, in that time, we're now in our 18th year, we have done almost 3,000 Tarheel Traveler stories. The Tarheel Traveler is Monday through Thursday nights at 5:55, and then all of our stories go online at WRAL.com. It's almost 3,000 stories, plus I do half-hour shows each quarter, every 3 months. We've done almost 75 shows. Boy, that's a lot of content. And people always ask me, well, of all those nearly 3,000 Tarheel Traveler stories, what's your favorite Tarheel Traveler story? Well, my favorite is the very first one I'm going to show you. And believe it or not, it was the very first Tarheel Traveler story we ever did. The very first one we ever shot. This was about a man named Marty, who was from Chapel Hill. And I had some information on Marty, but what I didn't have was his phone number. But I did know that he ate breakfast every morning at Sutton's, right there on Franklin Street, the old pharmacy that has the old-fashioned breakfast lunch counter. So I called Sutton's to see if they could tell me how to get in touch with Marty. And the man answered the phone there at Sutton's, and he said, "Oh, Marty would love to talk to you. Why don't you and your photographer show up tomorrow, 7:30? Oh, he would love to do the interview." Well, the man sounded so confident. The photographer and I showed up at 7:25 the next morning, 5 minutes early. We're waiting for Marty. Big first story. We're all set to go. In walks Marty, and he saw that camera, and his face just fell. He didn't want to have anything to do with that camera. He went trumping on and sitting right down at the breakfast counter. Well, I thought we were in big trouble. Here we are, the very first one, we're sunk. Well, I'm a huge breakfast eater, and I sat down at the counter next to Marty, and I ordered bacon and eggs and coffee. I love bacon and eggs and grits. And I think that shocked Marty. I mean, reporters are always in a hurry, but here I was eating bacon and eggs, and before long, he started talking to me, and before long, I couldn't get him to shut up. Well, that very first story was such a memorable one, and I think of Marty often. I'm going to show you the an excerpt of our very first Tarheel Traveler story. Sons, and there's the usual breakfast crowd at the counter. Marty Revelette is here, as usual.
I've been coming in here for about 15 years.
The coffee's good, and so is the company.
And there are always a lot of good, interesting people out there.
He orders
2 scrambled eggs.
and more coffee.
That's what it's all about.
Marty cups his mug with his foot.
Why am I here? Why? Because I don't know why.
Born with no arms. You might marvel and wonder what drives Marty. Marty drives himself.
Here we go.
Shift and go, 1 foot on the gas and 1 on the wheel. He's licensed to drive.
I've been pulled over by police officers because they thought I was some punk kid with his foot up on the steering wheel, joyriding. When they realized that I didn't have any arms and I had a valid driver's license, they let him alone.
Marty has his own landscaping business in Chapel Hill. He gases up, returns the pump, and pumps his chainsaw with his feet.
I always thought muscle was far greater than words, and I eventually learned that words were better than muscle.
Because they cut to the core.
Accept the person because of the human being that they are. And that's my part that's in your ear. That hurts when it's not accepted.
Yeah, Marty, I know it sounds hard to believe, but after a while, I forgot he didn't have any arms that day when I was with him. He just had such a great personality, a true inspiration, and I think of Marty often. In fact, when I began writing my Tarheel traveler books, the very first book I wrote, I wanted to begin that book with the story on Marty because his story has a lot of layers. I'm just showing you an excerpt, but a lot of those layers came through on the original version. Anyway, so we do stories on people. We also do stories on places. So I thought I'd show you a very memorable place that I did. A story I always wanted to do, but I struggled with how are we going to illustrate this story because there really wasn't much to shoot. It's the legend of the Devil's Tramping Ground. So deep in the woods of Chatham County is this supposedly perfect circle where nothing has grown within that circle for hundreds of years, not even a single blade of grass. And yet outside the circle, there's grass and brush and trees, but nothing within that circle. And the theory is the devil uses that ground to tramp around. So we went out there late one afternoon, and I was really worried because as a TV reporter, you have to worry about the pictures, not just the words, but there wasn't much to shoot. The perfect circle's kind of raggedy, there are beer bottles everywhere. But the photographer I was working with then was so creative and he came up with some almost ingenious ways to help illustrate the story. And this excerpt will give you just a touch of that, our story on the Devil's Tramping.
It is in the woods, about 36 feet from a perfect circle. People that believe it is the Devil's Tramping Ground, just believe it, he kept moving in a circle. I saw a plan, scheme against mankind. Now, just when they decided that it's the devil that did it, I did not know.
So it has remained all those years without anything growing in that.
That's right.
Isn't that pretty amazing?
Yes, it is.
When were you there and what did you find?
I did a soil investigation for this area back in November of 2000. Results from that came back that there really is no evidence out there of anything that should keep vegetation from growing.
Why is that circle there? What has caused that circle?
I couldn't answer that.
Do you believe in the devil?
Yeah, I do. And I've always had that he has to serve in a red suit, and blue suit, so that I got a chocolate table and all that. But I certainly believe in evil. I certainly believe in a sense of evil. Is that a fair answer?
What do you think the devil is tramping that ground?
I don't know. I don't know how in the hell he can get out of the law and get away from the legislature.
The man sitting on that porch is kind of a well-known local historian named Gene Brooks, and when he said that legislature comment, I knew somehow, some way that maybe was going in the story. Because, you know, as a reporter, you always hear those kind of asides from people you're interviewing. 9 out of 10 reporters leave them on the cutting room floor, but that's how I live for those moments. Those are little gems, little surprises to plant within your story. Because you never want your stories to be predictable. You want them to be unpredictable, and those surprises really help. The other thing about Gene is when we were pulled up to interview him, he was outside mowing his lawn, and he was all grumpy, and he said, "Oh, I've changed my mind, I'm not gonna do the interview, I had too much yard work to do." Well, I had to really twist his arm to get him to do the interview, and got him up on the porch, and it was a long porch, and I sat him at one end, and the photographer was way at the other end, and before Mom Jean forgot all about the camera, forgot it was there, just that body language, that was beautiful. Because you always want your interview subjects to act as naturally as possible and forget the camera's even there. Well, I thought I'd show you a few memorable places that we've done, and I've kind of put together a short montage. I kind of do this because less than a month ago, I came out with a new Tarheel traveler book that's all about places. 201 fascinating places are scattered across the state. And I loved writing that book, just not only for the memories it brought back, but for the rich history that these places have across the state. So I'm going to show you in this montage just quick excerpts of the white squirrels of Brevard, fly fishing near Boone, elk watching in the Cataloochee Valley west of Asheville, and a very unusual place in Blowing Rock. I'm showing you a montage of western places to begin with. Mystery Hill in Blowing Rock, warning, now entering a vortex.
I'm standing with the hillside.
He's standing crooked, slanted.
They say that the energy source here is actually coming out of the earth. You have to lean in with the angle.
You're saying that this is no trick of the eye, no hoax.
No, it's not.
You see so many different interesting behaviors. Did you see when he went up to the apple tree and he was using his antlers to knock the apples down? I mean, they're smart. It never gets old, never gets old. It's always an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I know that water. That's covered in water, it's done January. Look, a fisher rod.
That's all that matters. Trout fishing.
And like we always say, trout do not live in ugly places.
Highest mountain in eastern Mississippi right here. With that comes the coldest and cleanest water. Some of the best trout fishing in the south, in my opinion.
There are fly fishing guides with Chatola Resort nearby.
If you do this every day, if I won, it'd be a dang shame. And it's natural. The tug is the drug.
The tug of the heartstrings too.
It's not about catching the fish. It's about being out here, kissing, playing, just playing the game. Oh, that was a hard one. That fish pulled like a truck. Some days you're fishing, some days you're catching. Every day you're having fun, making memories. And that's what it's about.
There's Bobby.
Yes.
Actually, no. Actually, it's not Eddie or Bobby. It's Bella
Betty, Buster,
and Betty and Blossom. You must like the letter B.
I guess I got it. Come on, Baker.
Susie Beaker is from Brevard,
Come on, Susie.
and she has white squirrels eating out of the palm of her hand.
It's something else.
How many white squirrels are in this area?
It's up in the thousands.
The squirrels often roam around the Brevard College campus.
They've got honey buns in the trash can. I want to steal one.
I'll tell you, there's so many fascinating places in North Carolina and a never-ending supply of stories. Well, people ask me all the time, well, how do you find your stories? I mean, we're on 4 nights a week. In fact, when the Tarheel Traveler debuted, we were on 5 nights a week, but 4 nights a week after week, month after month, year after year. I tell you, I have so many story ideas, I can't get to them all. I have at least a pile of 5,000 story ideas waiting to be told. The way I receive most of my ideas is through email. It's not unusual for me to receive, say, 2 or 3 emails in a day from people suggesting story ideas. Another way, though, is I'll be sort of like at events like this, or we'll be shooting a story, and in the course of shooting the story, somebody will come up and tell me about, another story or 2 or 3 in that area. And I'm very careful to make notations and add them to the file. That always happens to us. It happened on this one particular day when we were traveling west. I believe we were heading to Asheville to shoot stories, and of course we were shooting along the way. Well, we stopped in Kernersville in the sort of the Winston-Salem area to do a story on this old mom and pop restaurant. It's called Fitz on Main. Used to be an alley, and they put a roof over top of it. And it was a great little story. We interviewed all the people. We actually had finished the story. We were loading all the camera gear in the car at the curb. And this lady comes running up to me and she said, I hear you're from the TV station in Raleigh. Well, I've got a good little story for you. Right down the road, I work at the dentist office. And for years and years, we've had the dental patients write on the wall in the bathroom, put their signatures and write little messages on the wall. Well, I thought, what the heck? I mean, our camera has been all over creation. It's been thousands of miles in the air on an airplane. It's been hundreds of feet underground in a mine. It had never before been in a bathroom. Well, I just had a gut feeling that this was a good story. So we rushed back to Kernersville about a month later and did the story about the dentist bathroom.
Tarheel Traveler has been visiting Well, he's been visiting the restaurant.
How did all this get started?
I don't know, I got this wild hair.
Love you guys. I wonder how many signatures are in here.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Have you seen the back of the door? They don't get them on the back of the door.
They're the signatures and the witticisms of the dental patients. Is your name on the wall?
Probably somewhere.
Where you from, today?
I think it's fun. I wrote on the wall 10 years ago.
Wendy S. was here.
It's a history and it's almost like a scrapbook.
How long have you been coming to this dance?
26 years. I've been here since 1974. 1973, I think it was.
I've been coming to see Chip since he started the practice.
It's one of those things that got started and just kind of took off.
They'll be writing on the toilet before long.
Well, we got the floor still.
I just noticed today that the TV is signed on the ceiling.
Always look up, even when you have to get your teeth drilled at the dentist.
You're at home.
Oh, that's not really.
You know, I'm sure when I'm on a story, people think I am a Looney Tune because I'm almost like in a trance. I'm almost having to script the story while I'm in the field. In that story, for example, I was looking at all the writings on the wall, taking careful notes. Because I had to instruct the photographer what to shoot. For example, Wendy S. was here. I thought, well, maybe I can use that in the script. So I said, hey, get a tight shot of Wendy S. was here. If he hadn't gotten the shot, I couldn't have used the line. So you almost really do have to formulate or loosely script the story in your head while you're in the field. The other thing about that story, when we got ready to interview the people, we're like, well, how do we interview them? Just standing outside the bathroom door? Well, we thought, well, let's interview them sitting on the toilet. And did you see that? How it was edited? Boom, boom, boom. But technically, it's a jump cut, but it worked. You always have to think creatively. How can you give a little oomph to each story? I know it's getting close to the time limit. I thought I'd show you one, possibly two more. You're never quite sure what you're gonna walk into when you go into a story. You might have set it up and the person sounds fine on the phone, but then you get there and they might be camera shy. Well, this is a good example of that. I had gotten a call about this man just west of Raleigh. Supposedly he builds airplanes in his backyard, and I thought, oh, these must be little mini planes. No, this is the real thing. Big old planes, big sizable planes. Well, I thought, what? Well, I called the man, the airplane builder, and he was kind of cagey on the phone. I wasn't really sure what I was going to find. What I did find was a great character. Here's our story on the backyard planes.
This part came off my mother's house.
And now it's part of a German fight. So that's your mom's roof?
Yes, that's it.
His mom's roof on a German plane?
I think she'd be taken to death, you know?
He is the one ticked.
Just like when I fly over the channel when I'm up here by myself.
Flying only in his mind.
It's all handmade.
The control panel.
Yeah, ain't none of that real.
It's made of pork and bean cans. The landing wheel is a pizza pan.
And sure enough, it's perfect.
Kind of too bad that pizza pan won't see any pizza. And Zed Harrington won't see any red barons.
It's a whole lot safer to fly over the channel than that and sit right there.
Or this one, sitting right here.
Japanese army plane.
Is this made out of anything in particular?
It's the same stuff as Mama's tin.
Mama on a Japanese plane?
You did what you got to do.
Zeb Harrington does what he's always done. Build things.
When I was growing up, there's a lot of things I looked to have that we couldn't buy. So I just started building what I wanted and you see what's happening.
He grew up in Moncue, just down the road.
At Mama's house.
He served in the military. Have you ever thought about building an airplane that can actually fly?
I thought about it, I laughed about it, and I forgot about it.
Or fun shooting for the moon in his own backyard?
You shake the oil in the engine.
That's a long German name for a little word like oil.
I know, it seems like they really ain't caught on maybe it didn't.
I thought I'd try to show you one last story because sort of by the same token, you're never quite sure what story is going to strike a chord, and this next one really did. You know, I say sometimes it's the little stories that resonate the most. And this is a good example of it because the story is just really about a piece of paper.
In 1992, I bought a birthday card and I sent it to my sister.
Her sister, Jean, back to Sue on her birthday.
I opened up my card from her, and here was the card.
The same card,
The same card. Make sure I got it back.
the same card. Again,
We just started from back 20 times this card has passed back and forth between us.
between Sue's house in Willow Springs and Jean's house in New Grove.
You must look so forward to receiving that card every year. I do. I can't wait. You know, I can look up the diaries of the card. It just means so much. So many memories in that little piece of paper.
For my sister, hope you enjoy your trip. Let's live a little, dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah, we can relate to that. You know, we're running out of space.
But there's always enough room for happy birthday. Love, Jean. Love, Sue.
We had good parents. We had the best daddy in the world.
Their mama and daddy are on the card.
It was on a farm.
Jean and Sue and their other two sisters grew up in Johnston County.
This is Sue getting off the school bus.
Sue was the youngest.
I'm sure they got lost. We did have a good time. We had a lot of neighbors, so different from the way it is today.
Family is forever. I'm so glad you're my sister.
It's just priceless, but it's priceless between us.
And between you, the card will remain.
Jane and I have made a pact that this card will go with the first one who passes away.
Will it go in the casket?
The first one who passes. It has a life. We just don't know what that life is yet.
Sadly, the younger sister passed away a few years ago, and so the birthday card has run its course, which is very sad, and yet how grateful I feel to have been able to interview them and preserve their story. And that's kind of what the Tarheel Traveler is about. Kind of preserving the fabric of North Carolina. I know that sounds awfully lofty, but I just feel like the Tarheel Traveler is not just some piddly thing on the TV each night, that it's more than that. And I feel so lucky to be able to do it. Just to wrap up, Tarheel Traveler Monday through Thursday nights at 5:55. Then I have my own website, thetarheeltraveler.com, talks about myself and my books. And I've written 6 Tarheel Traveler books. I've got 5 of them here, and I love writing little notes on the inside sleeve. And I got to charge for the books. They range between $24 and $37, and I can accept any form of payment, or you don't even have to pay. You can just look at the pictures. You'll enjoy looking at the pictures, which are freeze frames from the stories that actually air. Well, thank you all so much. I could be here all day.
I'll state the obvious. You guys were just exposed to an amazing storyteller. Just listen to how this program came across. So Scott usually gets paid for his engagements. He agreed to do this one without a fee, so we want to thank him for that as well. And if you don't have, I'll just go to accept the most recent one. I'll take care of that today. And you will have the best Christmas gifts ever if you get one of Scotty's books. He writes the best descriptions anybody will ever have. So please take the time to do that. And I'm sure he'd be happy to chat with you and story ideas, make it 5,001, okay? All right, Rotarians, let's all stand for the four-way test and then we'll be dismissed. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair?
Will you be able to clean this up?
Yeah.
Awesome. Take care. I haven't been to work yet.
What? Maybe you should stay there. The whole morning on, it sounds kind of nice. Yeah.
I had one.